Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swamy Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt." Purport: in this 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul, capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yoga. At the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahmajyoti or localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge, beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahmajyoti and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness, yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and foremost. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, "Tat Shrunu," or hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and therefore by hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly, or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart puffed up with academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto as follows. Shranavatam swakataha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridiyantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti sukrit satam nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatir uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki tada rajastamo bhavah kamalobhatayaschaye chetayeter anaviddham sthitam sattve prasiddhati evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogatah bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya chayate vidyate hridaya grantis chityante sarva samshayah kshiyante cha asya karmani drishta evatmanishvare. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the signs of God perfectly. Thus Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come to the stage of asamshayam samagram, understanding of the absolute truth personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tan Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamy Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavati Paschatya Deshatarine Jayasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
Happy to be here in the house of Muralidhar Keshava Das and his family. And I think all of you are also from around here or from anywhere else. This is my first visit to Philadelphia. I am from South India mostly. I come every year to America, but I've never come this side. So I'm happy to be here with you and share a few realizations from these wonderful instructions of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is focusing on the word Tat Shrinu, hear from me. And Prabhupada is saying that only if you hear from Krishna or his pure representative can you get to know about Krishna. And knowing about Krishna means knowing absolute truth. Knowing about Krishna means getting to know the reality, different from illusion. And knowing about Krishna means knowing about yourself. These are all the important aspects. It is not only simply religious activity that we get to know about Krishna. We are Krishna's devotees, you are devotees of Devi, he is devotee of Ganesha, he is devotee of them, so all of them are on the same level. No. Krishna means absolute truth. Janmadhyasya yatahanvayad yatrataschakteshva abhijñaswarat. Abhijñaswarat, the supreme independent personality of Godhead. Knowing him who is the source of everything. Janmadhyasya yataha. Knowing the original source from whom everything emanates, everything, every person, entire creation, spiritual, material, everything emanates from him. Samam bonam, as he is called. Knowing that person. So he can never be equal to anything or anybody. That is why the Lord is called Asamaurthava, for whom there is no equal. There is nobody like him. That's why they say Allah, La ilahi illallah. There is nobody equal to him. These are all mentioned by Krishna himself. Mattah parattaram na anyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. Mahi sarvamidam prottam sutre manigana iva. There is no truth above me. Everything rests on me like pearls on a string. Krishna has also explained that in Bhagavad Gita. So getting to know Krishna is not like getting to know anybody and everybody. Right? Supreme personality. This Prabhupada is mentioning here. And his devotees those who sincerely follow his instruction, hearing from them also will give you knowledge about Krishna. Hearing them also will give you knowledge about Krishna. So this is explained very nicely here by Bhaktivedanta Swamy, Srila Prabhupada. Krishna consciousness is a word coined by Prabhupada specially. And his amazing explanation of the absolute truth is very wonderful. Srila Prabhupada repeatedly is explaining in his purports these things. When Krishna is saying, Tat Shrunu, listen to me, it means that what Krishna is revealing is of very important value. We listen to many things, many people throughout our lives for many material requirements. And all those requirements and all that information that we gather actually become useless at the time of death. They may become useless even before death. Most of the students, whenever I go to colleges and whenever I meet youngsters, I ask them, which class are you studying, which grade are you doing, what course are you doing, etc., etc. And I make out that mostly they are not very happy about what they are doing. Especially students, when you ask them, are you happy with what you are studying? They are programmed to say yes. Actually, they are not really very happy about it. They are forced to go to school, forced to study, because they don't like to study. It's a fact, it's a very well-known fact, that they don't like to study. And after they have written their exam, they are very happy to forget everything that they have studied. They don't want to remember it. Whether you're in college or you're in school, they don't want to remember it. Then why are they studying? Why are they studying? They're happy to forget it. I want to take this out of my head. Throw it away after the exams. I want to relax. I want to think of something else completely different. That's the type of information that we are forced to get. And why? Because it has really got nothing to do with us. Subjects, you're forced to study because you should get a job, because you should earn money, because you don't have money, you don't. These are all the reasons why we get so-called knowledge, and this knowledge is actually useless to us. And we don't like it. It doesn't stick in our head. It just comes off, keeps falling off, and we have to keep sticking it back. This is a fact. But Krishna is giving Yata jnasasi tat shrunu samagram mam. Everything you'll get to know by this information. Every information you'll get to know by this. That is the information Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Krishna is speaking. This is not an ordinary thing. Ours is a very high-time educational institution. We are teaching people the content of the Bhagavad Gita, which is king of education. And you will see that this knowledge will stick in your head. You will like it. You will identify with it. And when you learn about it, you will get happy. Susukham kartum avyayam. Susukham kartum. Krishna is saying, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyaksha Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. And while you are gaining this knowledge, you'll become Susukham, very, very happy. You'll become very, very increasingly happy as you discover more and more. But you can't see that type of Rajavidya going on with all the education that you're having. It is not Susukham. It is Sudukam. It is, you want something, you want to remove it out of your head. The more you study, their face becomes more morose. And as they climb the ladder, more and more tensed, more stressed. Right? Susukham kartum avyayam will come only when you are understanding yourself. Understanding more about God. Understanding more about your relationship with God. Then you become increasingly happy. This is a fact. Yes or no? Right? Do you feel that or not? Yeah. So we must encourage that type of education. That's what Prabhupada is trying to do. He has set up the International Society for Krishna Consciousness as an educational institution. Very casually we are meeting in somebody's house and we are speaking this knowledge. We don't have a formal educational institution and we don't merge with the other education institutions. Right? We are not recognized like that. But this education institution gives the king of knowledge. And it doesn't even bother about your pre-qualification. What is your pre-qualification? In normal education institutions, you have to prove that you are pretty good. You have to have some flying colors in your academic education to get into some premier institute. Or you have to pay money. In India, you have to pay lots of money. You can be a useless student and still get into the best education institution. Why? Because you can pay money. So the pre-qualification there is money or you have intelligence. If you don't have intelligence, you pay money. If you have good IQ, you can pay less money. Even for kids, they take you inside after doing an IQ test for kindergarten and everything. In other words, education institutions want to be very careful. They are taking only intelligent people inside. In other words, they are not really guaranteeing that whomever you send to me, I will educate him and send him out to you. I have the capacity to educate anybody. Right? Educate anybody who has the right attitude, the right character, the right nature. In Vedic system of thought, they don't see whether you are got IQ or not. The gurus and their ashrams, they will take somebody who is really low class and produce him to be very high class. See, Gautama Muni had a student who wanted to study. And in the Varnashrama system, the Brahminical class of people only are taken for study first. Kshatriyas, Brahmanas, they go to Gurukula and study. But this student came to him and in front of everybody he was questioned. By the Guru, by the ashram teacher, he was questioned. Who is your father? Give your address. And in front of everybody he said, I don't know my father. So all the students started laughing. But Gautama Muni did not. He looked at him very straight. And he said, never mind. Go to your mother and find out and come. So this boy went to his mother and asked, who is my father? The Guru is asking from the ashram. I want to study. So he's asking, who is your father? So the mother looked at her son and started crying. And said, my dear son, I actually don't know who is your father. I have had association with many males. She was like a maidservant, prostitute. And she told her son very directly, actually I don't know who is your father. So this boy turned around. He also felt very bad. He went straight to the ashram of his teacher. And then in front of everybody he stood and told his Guru, my mother also does know who is my father. It's actually very bad qualification. Immediately Gautama Muni said, you are a very honest person. I'll accept you as my student. It does not matter who you are, which class you belong to. You are such an honest person that you can come and tell, I don't know who is my father. You are the right person to study under me. And he accepted him. You compare that with what we do today. I hear about small kids going for IQ test for kindergarten inside big schools, and then they are subject to some psychological tests, and then some of them are told you are not fit to study with us. Very young, small toddlers. I don't know how they make out that this fellow has no IQ or it is. It's just simply growing just now. Very soon they become alright. You have learning disorder, you have attention disorder, they'll title something. And then the mother will go and take him to a psychiatrist, to an educational psychologist or somebody. And that fellow will tell, oh, is it you have to give him this, treat him like this, put him in this school. Actually, the person is perfectly alright. If you leave him alone, he'll come out. Whatever they measured, attention disorder, this disorder, doesn't matter. If you put him in the school, he will become alright. He's growing. But such high expectations, which means the education institution is telling we live off the intelligence of the students. We are not going to contribute anything much. Because if you get students with good IQ, we'll get good results and our school will become famous. But what we teach is not going to increase the IQ. Right? It's not really going to help much. But Bhaktivedanta Swamy Prabhupada's institution, Tat Shrunu, hearing from the authority, and he's coming in the authority, you hear what he has said, what he has written. If you follow, you will see you become a gentleman of highest character, highest knowledge, Raja Vidya, greatest performance. You get to know Krishna and you become his devotee and your character completely changes. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarver gunais tatra samasate suraha. Sarver gunai tatra samasate suraha. One who is a devotee of the Lord, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya akinchana. Sarver gunai, all good qualities will manifest in him. Harav abhaktasya kuto mahat guna. One who is not a devotee of Hari, what good quality can he have? Manorathe nasati dhavato bahi. He simply follows the chariot of the mind, bahirartha, and chases his desires and all the different concoctions that come in the mind by the senses contacting sense objects. Dhavato bahi, and is simply in the external situated. You see what amazing quality that you can acquire by being a devotee. When you become a gentleman. To a reporter who asked Prabhupada, what is the meaning of devotee? Prabhupada said, he is a perfect gentleman. That's a definition Prabhupada gave. Nothing very exotic, but he told him he's a perfect gentleman. In other words, my institution is making everybody perfect gentlemen. So when you come from Prabhupada's followers and they teach you and you understand things, you come out as a perfect gentleman. You give up so many bad habits. You seek the association of good people. And you may even struggle a little bit, but gradually you're getting shaped up into becoming devotees, pure devotees, and you become perfect. So this institution actually changes the person from inside out. By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, following the regulative principles, reading Prabhupada's books, associating with devotees, eating prasadam, worshipping Krishna, reading Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, discussing it, gradually a person changes. To the extent that he focuses, to the extent that he becomes interested, to the extent that he dedicatedly does these things, he will definitely change. And that change cannot be brought about in any other way in any of these universities. And there's no pre-qualification required. What an amazing university this is. But unfortunately in the academic circle they will not count it in. And to add it to that, Krishna is saying, I don't need any pre-qualification. If you surrender to me alone, it's enough. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Ma sucha, you will become fearless. Don't worry. If you simply have a desire to surrender to me, everything else I will do for you. You may be having no intelligence. You may be having a bad horoscope, unfit for education. You may be not having intelligence. You may be useless in society. These are all the people Bhaktivedanta Swamy Prabhupada accepted and turned them into gentlemen and proved to the world that this process works. It's amazing. Krishna is saying, this is a university, Raja Vidya teaches, and you don't need pre-qualification. I will give you intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. It is enough if you have dedication to me and worship me. I will give you intelligence that you need. Which university in the world is telling you that? They are relying on your IQ. They are not telling Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, come to Rice University. Dadami Buddhi Yogam, come to Princeton, come to Yale, come to Harvard, come to... They don't say that. Right? Severe competition. But here is an open university. Anybody comes, we make them very intelligent. Prabhupada's university. And you will never fail. You will never flunk in any of the exams. Kaunteya pratijanahi name bhakta pranashyati. Declare it boldly, Arjuna, my devotee will never fail. There's a fear in everybody when they get into any education institution. I have to study, I have to write the exams, will I come out in flying colors, will I get this or not? Everybody is anxious. Don't worry. Even if you make a mistake, even if you don't do well, you will become successful. Apichat suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadhureva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hi sa. Krishna is saying, even if my devotee does anything wrong, still he will be reinstated by me in proper situation. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma saswachantim nigacchati. Declare it that my devotee will always be successful. And in the last shloka of Bhagavad Gita it says, Yatra Yogeshwaro Krishna Yatra Partha Dhanuttara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti. Wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, wherever we read Bhagavad Gita and glorify Krishna and Arjuna, there will be highest morality, opulence, victory. Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhuti. Sri and Vijaya will be there. These are all the guarantee given. And Bhaktivedanta Swamy opened his university for anybody and everybody all over the world. People are accepting it in different places and becoming educated because they are doing Tat Shrunu, listening to his representative Bhaktivedanta Swamy Prabhupada. And whatever Krishna has mentioned, boldly Prabhupada states it. Even though people may think it is, oh, how can I accept this? This is what Krishna states, this is what we shall do, this is how we shall accept and do, and we will see the result. Accepting what Krishna says as it is, very important. Srila Prabhupada, this is the 50th anniversary of ISKCON, therefore I am just talking about what ISKCON contributes to society. It's such a lofty, amazing, wonderful contribution. People don't realize it yet. Sometimes even we don't take it very seriously. Even we don't understand the great value of these books, of the instructions in Bhagavad Gita given by Prabhupada, of the chanting of the holy name. We don't really know much. We are doing it because out of being religious and pious and out of seeing our parents and others doing it, sometimes we think it's good, we do it, and then we fall into it. But actually, this devotional service is so perfect, as Prabhupada explains in the purport. You don't need to do anything else. You will not fail in it. You will develop love for Krishna. Ya nastaya narorajan na pramadyeta karihichit Dhavan nimilya vanetre naskalet napatet iha. In the Bhagavatam, Maharaj Nimi is telling, this process of Bhakti Yoga is so wonderful, my dear king. There will be never any type of confusion and bewilderment. Na pramadyeta karhichit. Dhavan nimilya vanetre. You close your eyes and simply run on this path. Naskalet napatet iha. You will not slip, you will not fall down. Imagine you're running on this highway with your eyes closed, doubling up there, right? How you will be within a few seconds. But this path of devotion to the Lord, becoming a devotee of Krishna, is so perfect. You will not slip and fall down. Nothing will happen to you. You will reach the destination. Closing your eyes and going. Is glorifying. Maharaj Nimi is hearing from the Navayogendras glorifying this process of bhakti. That is why Prabhupada is saying here, neither Gyan nor Karma nor Yoga will give you this result. Tat Shrunu, he is saying, has become my devotee. Manmana bhavamat bhakta matyaji mam namaskuru. So we should take this very seriously. We should simply state what Krishna states. We should simply follow what Krishna states and how Prabhupada has asked us to do it. You wake up for Mangalarati, you worship the Lord, you chant Krishna's names carefully without offenses, you read his books and try to understand, and everything will become amazingly perfect. This is Prabhupada's prescription. And it is not that he is a very special person, therefore he can do it. Others cannot do it very well. We can do it to some extent, etc., etc. Mind tells us so many things. Prabhupada also for 40 years he struggled in India to preach this message. It is not that he was instantly victorious, but he continuously tried. So much he tried. And so many difficulties, so many challenges here. Out of all that, he persistently, in a determined manner, he carried out Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's instructions. And he came to America and he very sincerely preached this message to Americans. We are all Indians sitting here. I don't see anybody from America here. And we are sitting in American land and meeting together. I am coming from South India. All of you have been here for very long. How many of you are here from South India? Means what? Telugu, Nadu, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, etc. Right? How many of you from, Mumbai, Maharashtra, and western regions? How many of you from North India, Delhi, others? Yeah. Then Gujaratis and all of them. You will see. We are all coming from all over India, but I am sure that many of you became Krishna conscious maybe here. Am I right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Why? It did not happen in India for so long, in the land of the Bhagavad Gita, where you come from very nice pious families and everything. Why it did not happen in India, it happened here, that you became Krishna conscious. It's amazing, you should look for yourselves. Actually, maybe it is more difficult for you to become Krishna conscious in India. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Why? Your house is there, your relatives are there, everything is very nice, everything very different, and there's a particular type of mentality that prevails. And you may not take Krishna consciousness very seriously. You may ritualistically go to the temple, come back, be religious. You can be religious and spiritually inactive. It's amazing. You can be so religious, you can attend every puja, everything, and never be committed. Who's going to tell you all these things? See, it's very amazing that people pick up Krishna consciousness in different places. And Prabhupada also could not so much take off his movement in India. But when he came outside to America, he became very successful. And whenever our movement contacts Indians outside of India, they become easily Krishna conscious. This is the way it goes. But when you see them in India, they don't so easily take up Krishna consciousness. So that's the great benefit of Prabhupada's institution. Actual scientific study and understanding of God through his books. It's a great university that can be established. I'm sure in the future people will do that and become pure devotees. Pure devotees who can change. Prabhupada mentioned that I am one Indian who came to India, out of India to preach this. What can all the Indians do if they follow this? They can change the whole world. They can actually change the whole world. Prabhupada set that process of changing the whole world with this information. Raja Vidya. Tat Shrinu. Listen to me. Following the order of the Guru, following the order of Krishna, very important, without going into speculation. Developing your own new spiritual thought from something. Very dangerous. Lot of movements. The Hindu movement is full of these speculations. Each one speculates on their own. So many amazing things they come up with. Newer and newer types of worship. I see every year something coming up new. Some new type of temple. Some other deity from the Mahabharata somewhere inside somebody is building a temple. All sorts of temples coming up. All sorts of new thoughts and new age workups and powerful looking personalities. Looking only personal. Powerful looking, powerfully dressed, very influential people, and they go and shamelessly preach things which they think is correct. And they mostly popularize themselves. They don't speak anything about Krishna. A pure devotee of the Lord, he carries out everywhere Krishna's instructions, brings Krishna to the fore, makes people hear about Krishna. This is something that is unique to Krishna consciousness movement. Strictly following the order of Krishna, strictly following the acharyas and executing under any situation and circumstances. That is Prabhupada's very unique quality. And Prabhupada introduced us to Krishna all over the world. And so many amazing devotional services has been done by his followers, and the movement is expanding all over the world. Whenever we follow Prabhupada's instructions, Tat Shrinu, properly, we should follow and not imitate, Prabhupada said. That is the way to keep the knowledge pure. Sakala neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. Over a period of time, this knowledge was lost. Therefore, I am mentioning this to you again. Krishna is telling. So the process of pure devotional service. Devotee means much beyond a jnani, karmi, yogi. Krishna mentions that out of all types of yogis, my devotee is the greatest yogi. Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana. Whole world is talking about yoga. Just now, June 21st, they celebrated International Yoga Day. International Yoga Day. All over the world, yoga is so popular. Why do you think it is popular? Why do you think it's popular? It's a big business. Billions of dollars business. Booming business. And the second thing is people want to be a little fit for sense gratification. But these are two things that are completely against the principles of yoga. It's not what yoga is about. Actually, the first International Yoga Day came last year. We put up a big program for the youth in South India, and we, told them what is really yoga through some skits and presentations and everything. At that time, there was a big opposition from the Muslims, saying that don't practice yoga, it is a whole trap to make you a Hindu. Some Muslim high priests were telling. And then many of the Muslims all over the world were saying, but it is just, very good health. I'm actually having a lot of relief from this disease, that problem, this problem by doing yoga. But then Muslim high priest saying, no, they're trying to convert you to Hindu. This is a ploy of the country's head. He has only initiated this. And many people were arguing. Then this Muslim high priest quoted this shloka. See in the 6th chapter, last 2 shlokas. There God is telling, Yoginam api sarvesham bhagate nantaratmana. He pointed the shloka and said, see, if you do yoga, you'll become a devotee of Krishna. Can't you see? It is mentioned. I became very happy with that Muslim high priest. Even the Hindus did not tell that. He has read the Bhagavad Gita and he has found out that yoga means bhakta. Real yogi means bhakta. This is what they are trying to do to you. If you practice yoga, you'll become a devotee, which is the correct understanding. But yoga has become something else. You do yoga for good health, you do yoga for so-called spiritual life, mindfulness, consciousness, blah blah, nothing to do with Krishna. But he found out this is what yoga is meant for. And therefore he said, don't practice it. Don't practice it. From his viewpoint, from his religious viewpoint. See? So this is the meaning of yoga, which people don't know. Gyan means understanding Krishna. Karma means doing devotional service to Krishna. All these things is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita and in many places. Bhakta, devotee, is the highest. Everything is included in him. And a devotee develops such a loving relationship to such an extent with God that he is willing to sacrifice everything out of love and devotion for God. And God has such a deep relationship with him that he comes to even serve him. His devotee attracts the Lord so much by his devotional service that the Lord is willing to serve him. That's why Bhagavad Gita, in the cover, you will see Krishna doing the menial service of being the driver of Arjuna, chauffeur, out of great love for his devotee. This loving relationship within God and his devotee is so exalted, so wonderful, amazing. Amazing. That's why Krishna comes under the control of his devotee, his love. This is highest education. Manmana bhava madbhaktho madhyaji mam namaskuru means my devotee you become, everything will be available to you. Greatest happiness, I will be available to you. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told his associates, who were all his wonderful devotees, that when they would come to Puri and then they would leave every year, and then he would feel so much attached to them, and they will cry before they leave because Lord Chaitanya will tell them, I'm so happy you came from such a long distance, walking all the way, and you brought for me so many wonderful gifts. I am a sannyasi, I am not able to give you anything. I can only do one thing, I can give my body to you. This is my only possession. I offer myself to you. You can sell me in the marketplace if you so desire. Out of great feeling, when Lord Chaitanya mentioned this, all the devotees would cry that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of great affection and love, wants to give them something. And he's telling, I'll give you myself. You can use me how you want. And there was a very intimate feeling between those devotees and Lord Chaitanya. So intimate that they decided to stay back for some more time to pacify Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya also was pacified. In this way, loving relationships exist between devotees on the basis of their love for Krishna. Because of that loving relationship, which is the highest manifestation of Krishna consciousness, all problems get solved between living entities. When they develop love for Krishna, everything gets solved. Everything gets solved. Even if there are problems, they don't affect you as problems, because you are absorbed in love of Krishna. This is the high point of Bhagavad Gita. That's why Krishna is telling finally in the 18th chapter, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Simply become my devotee. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam praja. Give up all type of dharmas, which we have been speaking about so long. All that you give up and simply become my devotee. Everything auspicious will happen to you. That is why devotional service to the Lord is highlighted so much here by Prabhupada throughout the Bhagavad Gita. And some critics of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita criticize him for translating every form of yoga into Bhakti Yoga and mentioning that Krishna, this is what he mentions here. But actually that's what he mentions. Only a devotee will know what Krishna is talking. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only my devotee knows me. So a devotee only can explain Bhagavad Gita best. Therefore, we are following the instructions of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and trying to develop love for Krishna. Loving devotional service, once a person becomes a devotee of the Lord, then Krishna will enter his pastimes. You can enter into Krishna's pastimes. That is mentioned by Krishna also. That's mentioned by Krishna. I am coming from South India, and in South India there are so many different temples, so many great devotees in many places. This is the 1000th year of Ramanujacharya, and it is being celebrated all over in South India, especially in Tamil Nadu. The great, wonderful personality of Ramanuja, how a wonderful devotee he was, and how he preached Krishna consciousness. He preached Krishna consciousness so wonderfully and made many people devotees. So many people were becoming converted to Sri Vaishnavism, becoming Vaishnavas. At that time, all sorts of Mughal kings and everybody, and beyond that, all sorts of people were ruling. They were very atheistic. And Ramanujacharya did amazing things. He had 700 sannyasi disciples. Can you imagine? His own guru became his disciple. That is the type of preaching he was doing. Yadava Prakash, he had a Mayavadi guru when he was young, and he was learning under him. And both of them were always giving interpretations. It's like, why can't it be like this? Why can't it be like this? You know, repeatedly Ramanujacharya will ask his guru, but that is not the way, that's not what he's saying. He was giving a personalistic explanation, he was giving an impersonal explanation. And then over a period of time, somehow he had to quit from that ashram because they tried to kill him. So he went under other gurus like, Kanchipurna, also all of them helped him a lot. And he became powerful Acharya preaching. This Yadava Prakash, who was his guru in the initial days, his mother became a disciple of Ramanujacharya. Then she told the glories of Ramanujacharya to her son, who is a very famous scholar. Told him, don't think that he is your disciple and this thing. He is empowered by the Supreme Lord. And then she spoke his glories to him so much that in his latter days, Yadav Prakash went and surrendered one day to Ramanujacharya and told him, accept me as your disciple. So much was his preaching that his own guru became his disciple. And the Lord was so pleased with Ramanujacharya that he was bringing so many conditioned souls back to him. And in one place in South India called Tirukkurungudi, the Lord appeared to Ramanuja and told him, how wonderful, how you are able to bring so many living entities back to my lotus feet. So Ramanuja, obviously he said, because of your Shakti on me, I know that. And I am acting as your empowered representative. But instead of saying that, he told the Lord, oh, if you want to know how that is happening, you have to ask me in the proper way. Then only I can tell you. Because I'm not, actually he was saying, I'm not used to God asking me and I tell God. I'm used to only persons asking me and I tell them. So the Lord understood and became his disciple. And asked him, so tell me now. And Ramanuja explained about the Lord and about his merciful nature, his beauty, his opulence, his greatness, and how he is so kind and how everybody should go back to him. And the Lord asked and inquired and heard from Ramanuja. The same Bhagavad Gita is like reversed. Arjuna, if he speaks to Krishna, how it will be? This is what was happening almost. He spoke all that great things. And there is a temple there in which you will see that Ramanuja's asana is higher than the Lord's asana, because there he instructed the Lord. In the temple, Ramanuja's place is higher than the Lord, because the Lord became his disciple. So, Prabhupada, such an acharya like him, so many people all over the world in diverse backgrounds, he made them devotees by making them chant the holy name. How pleased Prabhupada, Krishna will be with Prabhupada. And the parampara, everybody is so happy with Prabhupada because he exploded the preaching all over the world. His idea was even a dog can take part in it. He mentions that in the glories, he's explaining the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So many people take part in it. How happy he would be. And if we just simply served such a person, would we not make Krishna happy? Yes. So that is why Tatshanu, we follow Prabhupada's order. We follow what he has mentioned. Sometimes there will be controversy, sometimes we think this is not correct, we should say it this way, that way. No, we should simply do what Prabhupada has mentioned. Of course, according to time, place and circumstance. So being a devotee, Prabhupada told us, is the greatest advantage. How we can develop devotion to Krishna, that is the question. How we can actually develop devotion to Krishna should be constantly in our minds. What I can do to become a devotee. How I can express my love to Krishna. How I can develop my love for Krishna. How I can be a pure bhakta, a devotee. That should be our greatest hankering. And that is the highest yoga. And that is the easiest path. And that you can achieve by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. If you have any question, any comment, I'll be very happy to try to answer that to you.
Maharaj, you said that the process makes us a gentleman. And then in the end you also said that according to time, place and circumstance. So my understanding was that a gentleman means something that we learn in Shikshashtakam, that you have to be humble, tolerant and free from the desire to get false prestige. But I also see that in the path of spiritual life, sometimes in devotees, we scream, shout, fight. And then when I tell them that, but we have to be humble and tolerant. So then they say that no, but you have to speak up for that is unfair. So then in certain relationships like guru-disciple or husband-wife or parent-child, it's an authoritative relationship where the disciple or wife or child has to be humble and the husband, guru or father or mother is an authority. So obviously they have to show their anger to put the person on track. But what about other situations where do we end up fighting, or do we tolerate and be humble, or I don't know when to use the humility, tolerance, and when to use the anger.
Prabhupada told us, don't think there will be utopia. You know what's the meaning of utopia? A very fantastic, ideal situation where everything is perfect and everybody is happy, nothing is wrong. He said, that is not what is mentioned. Everybody in the material world, conditioned souls, when they get together, there will be a little spark and fire. It is natural. It's natural. To expect, everybody has got this perfection, material perfection in the head. They have no idea of spiritual perfection. And you simply map that on top of your spiritual life and think that that's how it should be. You can't be artificial. Human beings, spirit souls, conditioned are what they are. And you should learn maturely how to accommodate these things and look up higher towards spiritual life. Having said that, I want to tell you that husband, wife, control, authority, this, that, everything, that's the way it is set up. And if you follow that authority, you will benefit spiritually, finally. Just because of a little false ego, you may not want to follow that authority. That is the meaning of conditioned life. Your mind rebels against authority. That's all. It's as simple as that. And it is not that this type of utopia which you desire existed. Neither do you see in the Mahabharata, you see. Same things existed then also. Same differences of opinion, same difficulties existed. It's not changed 5,000 years later. In fact, it is better now. There, the wife of the Pandavas are disrobed in the open assembly. I don't think inside the ISKCON movement such things are happening. It's not so bad. It's much better. And the Pandavas themselves also fought with each other inside. There was deadly fights between Yudhishthira and Arjuna. You know that? During the war going on, Arjuna pulled out his sword to finish Yudhishthira. You know that battlefield, Bhishma passed away and then after that Karna became the man in charge. And then Karna, he came out and Yudhishthira, somehow or the other in the battlefield came in front of him. Arjuna and Krishna were fighting somewhere else. Then Karna was attacked by Yudhishthira. He's the king, Yudhishthira. So he attacked him, he fought. Karna finished him. Just dropped him out of his chariot. He was lying on the floor. He was ready to kill Yudhishthira. And then very insulting thing he did. He just rode on his chariot. He threw the arrow off and rode on his chariot. With the edge of his bow, he knocked the head of Yudhishthira and said, "You are unfit to face me. Bring your brother Arjuna. He's the right one to face me." He insulted him and said, "Go back home." It's such a great insult for a king like Yudhishthira. And he was thinking in his mind, where the hell is that Arjuna? Where is he? He was thinking. So he went back to his tent. When the word spread that Yudhishthira has been attacked and he is wounded and he is gone back, everybody, they say insult. But Karna purposely did it so that Arjuna would get angry and come out. And then they got wind of this and Arjuna and Krishna came running back and they went into the tent to see Yudhishthira. And then when Yudhishthira, as soon as he saw Arjuna, he said, "Where have you been, you so-and-so? You and your Gandiva." He just said something insulting about his Gandiva and this thing. Arjuna became so angry at that moment. I'm going all the way to see you, my elder brother, my inspiration and everything. As soon as I come, this is what you're saying. You're criticizing me and my Gandiva. I vowed that anybody who speaks against my Gandiva, I'll kill him. He pulled out his sword and lunged forward and then went to cut off his neck. And they were fighting with each other, each shouting with each other, pulling each other. And Krishna jumped in between and separated them. The whole war is going on. And you two guys are fighting here and killing each other. Not necessary. And he pacified them. They fought. They constantly argued with each other. But finally they decided to follow Yudhishthira. I have difference of opinion. I fight with you. I this, everything. But I'm willing to follow the authority. What Krishna says will go. What Yudhishthira says will go. Because Yudhishthira will always listen to Krishna anyway. So don't think that, earlier it was very nice and spiritual life means everything will be perfect, everybody will be nice to each other, tra-la-la-la, the sun will shine, the birds will twitter and I will chant Hare Krishna, very peacefully with no anxiety in my head, right? And everything will be nice. My husband will be very sweet to me. My wife will be so wonderful. She'll cook all the maha and everything and give me. I'll have no disease. I have no suffering. All these things. It's never like that anywhere. Prabhupada said, even in the spiritual world, Yashoda Mai is in great anxiety. Why? Krishna is doing all these pranks, stealing butter. My son is... Even she has anxiety. So somebody is put into our head that, spiritual life means everything will be nice. But nobody ever said that. And this whole topic is in a battlefield. War is going to happen. In between that, where all this discussion is going on. So where do we get all these ideas from that everything will be very peaceful, calm, like they show in the movies, the ads they show. What a nice family. We use toothbrush, Colgate. Look at our teeth. Look so white and shiny. Everything is peaceful with us because we use this toothpaste. All this is nonsense. All ingrained inside us. Right? Life is what it is. We should take it maturely. Krishna was here on the planet and Draupadi was getting disrobed next door. You can say that while Krishna was there, still this happened. The war happened, people killed each other. And while he was there, the Yadavas fought amongst themselves and killed themselves. How is it possible? It's crazy, right? All these things. So Prabhupada said, don't ask for utopia. There's no ideal situation, something that we manufactured inside ourselves. So there will be little difficulty because people are individuals. There will be differences of opinion. We may have a little argument, we may have a little shouting, like you said, but they will settle down. No, I must. Anyway, although I may not like it, I must listen to my father. I must listen to my husband. I must listen to the authority. I must listen to the temple president. I must listen to the GBC. I must listen to the guru. This is culture. This is what is called culture. I control myself and listen. That control, that towing the line will actually discipline you inside and make you more surrendered to God. That Krishna will appreciate. Humility you develop. See, that's very important. We are trying to become devotees. We are not trying to win an argument and say you are right or I am right. That's not the business of life. That is all material life. You should not fall into that trap. Things will be like that. You should learn to sacrifice. You should learn to cut your false ego down. Learn to become humble. Learn to depend more on Krishna. This is what a devotee does. This is what Yudhishthira did. This is what all great devotees did. This is what Bhakti Vinoda Swamy Prabhupada did. Learn to make a sacrifice. Learn to get an opportunity to control yourself. Do it. Don't in any way lose an opportunity to progress in spiritual life by becoming humble and dependent on Krishna. That's the meaning of devotee. You can read the life of Prabhupada. You can see. It's full of that. Right? What do you say? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Any other question? No, I think you know all these things. Must be knowing all these things, right? Yes or no? Huh? Little bit. Yes, we know, but when it comes to practice, that's when the challenge is. Iti te jnanamakyatam guhyat guhyatra maya vimrishyeta tyaseshena yati chasi tata kuru. I have instructed you, given you jnana, think about it carefully, deliberate on it. Then, yati chasi tata kuru, whatever you want to do, you may do. Krishna told Arjuna, he asked you to act. And then he stood aside and Arjuna said, I will act according to your instructions. Karishe vachanam tava. He took up the bow and arrow and started shooting all his relatives. Difficult devotional service, Prabhupada said. To face your relatives and kill them. Not easy. Right? But he said, okay, since you have said it and I understand the principles, I do that. Although he didn't want to do it. Right? Initially he didn't want to do it. But after hearing Bhagavad Gita, he became energized with spiritual understanding. He said, okay, I'll do. I'll kill Bhishma. My grandfather, on whose lap I sat down with great love and affection, I'll kill him also. We have to do such type of devotional service. We don't have to. But certain things come up in life, here and there. Try to follow the authority, Tatshrinu, and execute. Because Krishna said so. Because Prabhupada said so. Because our Guru said so. Because the Vaishnava said so. Then our life will become perfect. Right? Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna. Since you don't have any other questions, okay. But you should not be having any questions.
Your lecture made me ask a question. We always hear about devotee that devotees, pure devotee means he must have 26 qualities of Vaishnava. And one of those qualities is faultless. So, like Mataji, she asked me a question, household wife, guru, disciple. Since we are householder, normal non-devotee householder, if they fight or if they have some issue, because they are non-devotee, they are not in practice. But if devotee, they are in a practice, and if they also fight like normal people, then what is the meaning of devotion? So, their character, their family, their attitude, everything has to be exemplary. So, I felt it's a contradictory. So I don't know.
True. I'm not saying that therefore you should fight. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it may happen momentarily. But then we should get back to the main business of fighting Maya, not fighting with each other. What Maya is doing is making you fight amongst each other. So we understand the real enemy is somebody else. Right? And we adjust it amongst ourselves so that we get ready to fight the bigger enemy. Just like I said, Yudhishthira and Arjuna, they fought with each other, almost shouting all sorts of things against each other. But Krishna quietened down and then they went back to war to fight the big enemy. Common enemy they have, the Kauravas and Duryodhana. Went to fight him. Why waste energy amongst ourselves? It makes sense to put our energy together and fight the common enemy. Same way, if you're educated on the principles of Bhagavad Gita, you're educated in the Bhagavat, you find the application of these things in Prabhupada's life, in the life of many other devotees, then you will see that there's no use fighting, because we're not going to solve a problem like that. It's materialism that makes us fight. So the more we become spiritually mature, the less we will fight or have difference of opinion. That maturity we can understand. Somehow I made a very immature comment or immature act, and that is because of me and my immaturity. That is humility. When Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami came in front of Lord Chaitanya, their attitude about themselves genuinely was so attractive to Lord Chaitanya. At the same time, he felt that you guys are so humble that I can't tolerate it. They were ministers. All the treasury was in their hands. The Mughal king Nawab Hussain Shahs. He had completely trusted them because of the character of very high character. And for that reason he was keeping them as ministers. My wealth, everything is secure with these fellows. High character, high knowledge, very sophisticated Brahmana community they are from. Everything is good about them. Materially they are shining. But when they came in front of Lord Chaitanya, they took a piece of straw on their this thing. And they said that everybody thinks we are very intelligent. Everybody thinks that we know everything, but we don't know who we are. Kayami kene amaya jare tapatraya. Who am I? Why do I suffer the threefold miseries? I don't know. And I am so fallen. And he said, I am working for the Muslim. He's a cow eater. And so therefore there cannot be somebody as fallen as us. Even Jaga and Madhaya are better than us. Mattulyo nasti papatma na aparadi na kaschana parihare lajje me kim bruve purushottama. I am even afraid of talking about my sinful activities. I am so ashamed. I am such a great aparadi. There is nobody equal to me in my sinful activity. They were thinking like this and praying to the Lord, because that's what they were thinking about themselves. And Lord Chaitanya told them, Tumare dainya fatya moramana. Stop it. Don't say these things to me anymore. Your humility breaks my heart. And he bestowed all blessings on them. These are very educated, powerful people, ministers. That's their humility. Why this pastime is there is we have to learn. If you just be operating on superficially in this world and you get carried away by false ego and everything, you get disturbed. You got to operate deeply in Krishna consciousness. Dependence on Krishna, determined to be good gentleman, determined to, change and make sincere effort chanting Hare Krishna, be constantly vigilant. These things are all wanted. And we should know we represent Bhaktivedanta Swamy Prabhupada's institution. Anything we do in publicly like that will spoil the name of Prabhupada and his institution. You become, instrumental in spoiling Prabhupada's institution. Because of you, people will get a wrong opinion. Do you want to contribute like that?